Caspian Thorne's fingers danced across the blueprints, a master sculptor shaping dreams into steel and glass. His latest architectural design, a soaring, sustainable skyscraper poised to pierce the city's very soul, demanded his undivided devotion. But then a cruel chime from his phone shattered the serene tableau. Another late meeting for Sarah, the third this week. "Don't wait up, darling. Client dinner running late. Love, Cass." His jaw tightened, a tremor he alone felt. He set the phone down, leaning back into the cold embrace of his chair, and found himself adrift in a tide of memories. By the way, please like and subscribe if you enjoy stories like this. 5 years ago, you may now kiss the bride. Serafina, a vision in white, her smile a dazzling weapon, pulled him close. The applause thundered, a joyous cacophony as they shared their first kiss as husband and wife. "I still can't believe you chose me," he'd whispered, awestruck. Her laughter like shattered crystal had chimed in his ear. "How could I not? You're brilliant, successful, and you worship the ground I walk on. What more could a girl want?" Max's words from that very morning, a dark premonition, echoed in his mind. "Are you sure about this, man? Sarah's got a reputation." But Cass, a blind fool in love's dazzling light, had dismissed his best friend's concerns. Back in the present, a loose thread on Sarah's favorite silk robe snagged his attention as he passed their bedroom. She'd left it draped carelessly across their bed, a silent accusation. Something about its languid repose unsettled him. Sarah, always meticulous with her expensive indulgences, he picked it up intending to restore order, and then he felt it. A small, hard rectangle nestled in the pocket. A phone, not her sleek iPhone with the designer case he'd given her for Christmas. A basic burner phone. His hands miraculously remained steady as he unlocked it. No password protection. An amateur's fatal flaw. The messages unspooled before him, a tapestry of deceit. "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about how you felt beneath me, Jay. When can I see you again? S has been working late all week. Meet me at the Ritz, room 1542, tomorrow at 8. Don't keep me waiting, beautiful. Jay." He scrolled, numb, through months of clandestine communications. Photos, videos, sickeningly detailed accounts of their illicit encounters, plans for future rendezvous. The initial shock of betrayal solidified into something colder, harder, far more dangerous. He didn't hurl the phone. He didn't scream. He didn't storm out to confront her. Instead, with a chilling precision, he meticulously photographed every message, every image, every damning piece of evidence with his own phone. Then he replaced the burner phone exactly as he'd found it. His computer beckoned. Within hours, he had traced the lover's number, Julian Sterling, venture capitalist, married with a young daughter. A message pinged from Max. "Hey man, you still up? Got those security system specs you wanted." Cass typed back, his fingers moving with an unnerving calm. "Come over. Need to show you something." An hour later, Max sat in Cass's office, scrolling through the digital testament to betrayal, his face grim. "Jesus Christ," Max muttered. "How long?" "Based on the messages, at least 6 months," Cass replied, his voice eerily devoid of emotion. "I need everything you can find on Julian Sterling, and I mean everything." Max looked up at his friend, the chilling resolve in Cass's eyes sending a shiver down his spine. "What are you planning?" A cruel smile, thin as a razor's edge, curved Cass's lips. "They want to play games? I'll show them what happens when you play with a snake, both of them." Cass turned to his computer, fingers flying across the keyboard, already creating detailed files. "I built Sarah's entire social world. Time to remind her exactly who she's dealing with." The next morning, Cass kissed Sarah goodbye as she departed for her yoga class, watching her disappear down the driveway in the car he'd bought her last year. Within minutes, the tracking software Max had installed was feeding him her exact location, not the yoga studio. The Ritz, room 1542. Cass smiled. The game had truly begun. Days bled into weeks as he meticulously gathered intelligence, Their patterns, their secret meeting spots, their web of lies, every damning detail documented, cross-referenced, etched into his vengeful memory. Sarah, blinded by her illicit passion, never noticed the subtle shift in her husband. He remained attentive, thoughtful, the perfect spouse. If his touches grew slightly colder, his smiles a fraction less genuine, she was too consumed by her affair to perceive it. He watched her at a charity gala, holding court among her glittering socialite friends. Evelyn Hayes, a viper in human form, hung on her every word, subtly fanning the flames of Sarah's veiled references to her exciting new romance. "You deserve some fun, darling," Evelyn purred. "God knows Cass is married to his work these days." Sarah preened under the attention. "Jude makes me feel alive, desired, when he looks at me." Cass circulated nearby, champagne in hand, his phone discreetly recording every word, every justification for their treachery. His phone buzzed, a text from Max. "Financial records found. You're going to want to see this." Later that night, as Sarah slept beside him, her skin still faintly scented with another man's cologne, Cass reviewed Sterling's hidden accounts, fraudulent reports, embezzled funds, a house of cards teetering on the brink. He opened his laptop and began composing emails to Sterling's investors, anonymous tips about concerning irregularities. The first domino was poised to fall. In his home office, surrounded by architectural plans that once represented creation, now overshadowed by devastating evidence of destruction, Cass allowed himself a single moment of reflection. He thought of his parents, immigrants who had instilled in him the sacred values of loyalty and integrity, who had worked themselves to exhaustion to give him an education. What would they think of the man he was becoming, the ruthless predator emerging from beneath his carefully constructed exterior? Then he remembered Sarah's messages to her lover. "Cass is so boring, so predictable. He actually thinks I'm at yoga right now. Lol." His hand clenched around his pen until his knuckles whitened. No mercy, no forgiveness. They wanted to treat his love like a game. He would teach them the true meaning of loss. Let them think him predictable. Let them believe him blind. The architect was drawing up new plans now, and this design would bring their entire world crashing down. The exclusive restaurant hummed with the murmur of hushed conversations and the delicate clink of fine china. Julian Sterling, a king in his own opulent kingdom, held court at his usual table, regaling his fawning companions with tales of his latest triumph. His wife, Isabel, sat beside him, her elegant features sculpted into a mask of polite interest she'd perfected over years of enduring his charade. Across the room, Cass observed them, feigning absorption in his own business dinner. He noted Sterling's hand disappearing beneath the table to text, the almost imperceptible tightening of Isabel's smile. "Another late meeting, darling," Sterling announced, rising from the table. "Don't wait up." "Of course," Isabel murmured, her voice flat. "Give them my best." As Sterling strode out, Cass's phone vibrated. Max's message, a link to an encrypted file. "Found it, the Serpent's Den. You're not going to believe this." Later that night, Cass pored over the grim information in his office. The Serpent's Den, an exclusive underground club masquerading as a private social organization. In reality, it was Sterling's private playground, a sanctuary where the wealthy and privileged could indulge their infidelities far from prying eyes, or so they believed. Max's voice crackled through the speaker. "Security's tight, but their systems are outdated. I can get access to their cameras, guest lists, everything." "Good. What about the next event?" 2 weeks from Saturday. Your wife and Sterling are both on the list." Cass's fingers drummed steadily on his desk. "Perfect." A soft knock interrupted them. Sarah peered in, wrapped in silk and false innocence. "Coming to bed soon, honey?" "Just finishing up some work. Don't wait up." She pouted prettily. "You work too hard." Her phone chimed and she glanced at it, a fleeting guilty smile crossing her lips before she could hide it. "Important?" Cass asked, his tone deceptively mild. "Oh, just Evie. You know how she is." Sarah blew him a kiss and vanished. Max's voice returned. Man, I don't know how you can stand it. Practice, Cass replied coolly. Send me everything you have on Isabel Sterling. I want to know what she knows. The next day, Cass orchestrated a carefully choreographed chance meeting at a charity committee gathering. Isabel Sterling sat alone, meticulously reviewing donor lists. Mrs. Sterling? Caspian Thorne. He offered his hand. I believe we met briefly at the Hamilton benefit last month. Mr. Thorne, yes. Her handshake was firm, her smile genuine but guarded. Your firm designed the new children's wing at St. Mary's, didn't it? Beautiful work. Please call me Cass. He sat beside her. Actually, I was hoping to get your input on a new project we're planning, a wellness center. Your background in art therapy would be invaluable. Over the next hour, they discussed the project, Cass watching Isabel gradually relax, her passion for her work eclipsing her initial reserve. She was sharp, insightful, a world away from the vapid trophy wife Sterling clearly treated her as. I should go, she said finally, checking her phone. I need to pick up Lily from school. Of course. Perhaps we could continue this discussion over coffee next week. I'd love to hear more about your ideas for the therapy spaces. A moment of hesitation. I'd like that. As she gathered her things, her phone buzzed. Cass caught the fleeting flash of pain in her eyes as she read the message. Everything all right? Fine. Her smile was brittle. Just my husband. Another late meeting. Ah. Cass kept his tone carefully neutral. Those do seem to be growing more frequent in certain circles lately. Their eyes met. Something profound passed between them. A shared understanding, a silent recognition of wounds carefully hidden. Coffee sounds lovely, Mr. Thorne. Have your office contact mine with the details. After she left, Cass sent a message to Max. I'm in. Start compiling Sterling's financial records, all of them. The response came quickly. Already on it. You should see these numbers. Guy's been cooking his books for years. Cass smiled. The pieces were beginning to fall into place. That evening, he attended a gallery opening where he knew Sarah would be meeting Sterling. He moved through the crowd like a specter, observing their coded glances, their casual touches that lingered too long. Evelyn Hayes fluttered nearby, playing lookout while feigning absorption in the artwork. She expertly steered potential interruptions away, allowing the lovers their stolen moments. Cass recorded it all. His phone buzzed, a message from Isabel confirming their coffee meeting. Another from Max with more damning financial documents. A third from Sarah. Don't wait up, darling. Girls' night with Evie. XO. He watched her leave with Sterling, saw them get into separate cars that would converge at their usual hotel. In his pocket, he felt the reassuring weight of a small recording device, a gift from Max, perfect for capturing interesting conversations at the Serpent's Den. The trap was nearly ready. All that remained was to give Isabel the final decisive push she needed to join his cause. 2 days later, they met at a quiet cafe. Cass arrived early, selecting a secluded table. He watched Isabel enter, noting the careful way she scanned the room, a habit born of long experience with public scrutiny. Thank you for meeting me, she said, settling across from him. Thank you for coming, but I should be honest. This isn't entirely about the wellness center. Her shoulders tensed slightly. Oh? Cass slid a folder across the table. I think you should see this. Inside were photos, bank statements, text messages, a carefully curated selection of irrefutable evidence. He watched her face as she processed it all, saw the precise moment resignation replaced shock. How long have you known? She asked quietly. About your husband and my wife. Recently. About the Serpent's Den. That's a more interesting story. Her head snapped up. The what? As Cass explained, Isabel's composed facade began to crack. By the time he finished, tears slid silently down her cheeks. Lily, she whispered, her voice choked with anguish. What am I going to tell Lily? Nothing yet. Cass leaned forward. Mrs. Sterling, Isabel. I have a proposition for you. One that could ensure your daughter's future while making certain parties face some overdue consequences. She met his gaze, her eyes blazing with a nascent fury. I'm listening. For the next hour they planned. Cass meticulously laid out his strategy, watching approval slowly replace despair in Isabel's eyes. You're not what I expected, she said finally. No one ever expects the architect to be dangerous. His smile was razor sharp. That's what makes this perfect. As they parted, Isabel touched his arm. Thank you for showing me the truth. Truth is just the beginning. Justice comes next. That night, Cass added Isabel's file to his growing collection of evidence. The pieces were assembled. The plan was in motion. Soon the Serpent's Den would welcome some unexpected guests, and the mighty would learn how far they could truly fall. The Stockholm sunlight, a merciless truth-teller, streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Max's penthouse office, illuminating an array of monitors. Surveillance feeds flickered, financial records scrolled, and encrypted messages pulsed with sinister intent. Cass stood behind Max's chair, a silent sentinel, as his friend's fingers danced across multiple keyboards, a maestro conducting a symphony of data. There, Max announced, pulling up a series of incriminating transactions. Sterling's been siphoning money from his company's pension fund, using it to finance his little club, among other things. Isabel, seated nearby, pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. Those are our employees' retirement savings. More than that, Cass corrected, his voice a low hum. Most of it's been moved through shell companies into private accounts. Your husband's quite the financial architect. Not as good as the real thing, though, Max added, shooting Cass a knowing look. These traces he left? Amateur hour. Can you recover it? Isabel asked, a fragile hope in her voice. Already working on it, Max assured her. More importantly, we can prove where it went and why. The SEC would be very interested in this data. Cass placed a hand on Isabel's shoulder. We'll make sure the employees are protected. That's not why we're here today. She nodded, straightening in her chair, a new resolve hardening her features. The Serpent's Den. Tell me everything. Over the next hour, they meticulously reviewed the intelligence Max had painstakingly gathered. The club, a gilded cage of depravity, operated under the flimsy guise of a private social club, but its true purpose was far darker. Wealthy members paid exorbitant fees for discretion and unfettered access to private rooms where they could conduct their affairs, far from the world's prying eyes, or so they thought. Jude's been a member for 3 years, Max explained, pulling up damning records. Your husband's quite popular there, but lately he's been focusing his attention on one particular new member. Security camera footage flickered, showing Sarah entering the club, Sterling meeting her in a private room. The timestamp was from 2 days ago. Isabel's face hardened as she watched the chilling tableau. How did I not see it? Because you didn't want to, Cass said quietly. Just like I didn't. We believed in loyalty, in vows. They counted on that. Not anymore. Isabel's voice was steel. What's our next move? The club's hosting an exclusive event next weekend, Max said. Very private, very expensive. Your husband and Sarah are both on the guest list. Perfect timing, Cass mused. Isabel, how would you like to crash a party? A slow, dangerous smile curved her lips. I thought you'd never ask. They spent the afternoon meticulously planning, dissecting every detail. Max would handle the technical aspects, security systems, cameras, communications. Cass had already begun laying the groundwork for their financial retribution. Isabel's role would be crucial, the shocked wife discovering her husband's betrayal at the precise, devastating moment. What about Lily? Isabel asked suddenly, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. I can't leave her alone that night. Bring her, Cass suggested, his voice calm yet laced with a chilling intent. Nothing makes a point quite like a child's innocent presence to highlight their moral corruption. Isabel hesitated. Using my daughter as a prop? Not a prop, Cass corrected. A reminder of what they're destroying, of who they're hurting. Sometimes people need to see the consequences of their actions reflected in innocent eyes. Their intense planning session was interrupted by Max's alert system. Incoming! Your wife's on her way up. Cass checked his watch. Right on schedule. Isabel, are you ready? She nodded, smoothing her designer dress. They had choreographed this moment with the precision of a deadly dance. The elevator chimed, and Sarah strode into Max's office, stopping short at the sight of Isabel. Oh, I didn't realize you had company. Mrs. Sterling and I were just discussing the new wellness center project, Cass explained smoothly. You remember I mentioned it? Of course, Sarah lied, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. How lovely to see you, Isabel. How's Jude? Isabel replied, her tone perfectly pleasant. Busy as always, so many late meetings lately. Something flickered in Sarah's eyes, guilt, fear, before she expertly masked it. Well, I won't interrupt. I just needed to tell Cass I'll be late tonight. Charity committee meeting. Of course, darling. Cass kissed her cheek. Don't work too hard. After Sarah left, Isabel released a shaky breath. That was harder than I expected. You did perfectly, Cass assured her. Did you see her face when you mentioned the late meetings? They think they're so clever, Max scoffed, turning back to his monitors. Speaking of which, your wife isn't heading to any charity meeting. She just texted Sterling. Cass's expression hardened. Track them. I want to know everywhere they go, everyone they meet, especially anyone connected to the Serpent's Den. They spent the next few hours refining their plan. Max had mapped the club's security systems, identifying vulnerabilities they could exploit. Isabel provided intimate details about Sterling's schedule, his habits, his weaknesses. Cass absorbed it all, weaving it into his grand, intricate design. There's one more player we need to consider, Cass said finally. Evelyn Hayes. Isabel's lip curled in disgust. Sarah's enabler. More than that, Max interjected, pulling up surveillance photos. She's been helping arrange their meetings, running interference. She's got her own agenda. She always has, Isabel agreed. Evie's been riding Sarah's coattails for years, and my husband's too, when it suits her. Cass studied the photos. She could be a problem or an opportunity. People like that, Max suggested. They'll sell out anyone to save themselves. Good point. Cass made a note in his file. We'll keep a close eye on her. She might prove useful later. As evening approached, they finalized the details for the upcoming club event. Timing would be crucial, every moment choreographed for maximum devastating impact. Lily's piano recital is that afternoon, Isabel remembered suddenly, a wave of maternal anxiety washing over her. I can't miss it. We won't, Cass assured her. In fact, it's perfect. You'll go to the recital, take lots of pictures, be the devoted mother, then we'll arrive at the club just as things are getting interesting. Isabel gathered her things, preparing to leave. I should get home. Lily will be back from her playdate soon. One more thing, Cass said, handing her a small device. Courtesy of Max, it looks like a normal phone, but it's got some special features. Keep it with you at all times, Max added. It's clean, untraceable, and it'll let us communicate securely. Isabel slipped it into her purse. Thank you, both of you. I never thought I'd be plotting revenge. Cass's smile was sharp, a cutting edge. Neither did I, but they forced our hands. Now they'll learn what that means. After Isabel left, Max turned to his friend. You sure about bringing the kid into this? Lily won't see anything she shouldn't, Cass assured him, his gaze fixed on the city lights twinkling below. But her presence will make a point about consequences, about collateral damage, about the lives they're destroying with their selfish games. And what about your endgame? Max asked quietly. How far are you willing to go? Cass stared out at the city skyline, his reflection hard and unforgiving in the glass. As far as necessary, they chose to play with fire. Now they'll learn what it means to burn. The next week would be crucial. Every move had to be perfect, every piece in place. The serpent's den awaited, and with it, the beginning of their destruction. But first, Cass had a wife to go home to, a role to play, a mask to maintain. Let them think him blind. Let them believe themselves clever and safe. The architect's plans were drawn. Soon they would learn the true meaning of design. The understated facade of the serpent's den belied its true decadent nature. Behind the deceptive veneer of an upscale private club, betrayal flourished, nurtured in the shadows. Security guards in tailored suits, their faces impassive, nodded respectfully as Cass guided Isabel through the doors, Lily's small hand clasped securely in her mother's. "Remember," Cass murmured, his voice a low hum against the opulent din. "Timing is everything." Isabel squeezed her daughter's hand. "Lily, sweetheart, stay close to Mommy, okay?" The little girl nodded, her eyes wide with innocent wonder at the opulent surroundings. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, their light reflecting off mirrored walls. The main room hummed with hushed conversations and the brittle clang of fake laughter, the air thick with expensive perfume and the suffocating weight of countless secrets. In Cass's ear, Max's voice crackled through the discreet earpiece. "Security systems are compromised. I've got control of all cameras and displays, waiting for your signal." Cass scanned the room, his expression betraying nothing, until his eyes landed on Sarah. She was draped across a velvet chaise lounge, a siren in silk, Jude Sterling's hand resting possessively on her knee. Evelyn Hayes hovered nearby, a watchful sentinel, feigning absorption in her champagne flute. "Mommy?" Lily tugged at Isabel's dress. "Isn't that Daddy over there?" And daughter Sarah sat up abruptly, her champagne sloshing over the rim of her glass. Isabel and Jude recovered quickly. Plastering on a smile, Jude offered, "What an unexpected surprise. This isn't really a place for children, is it?" "No," Isabel agreed coolly, her gaze unwavering. "It's a place for adultery, isn't it?" The silence that followed was suffocating. Couples throughout the opulent room shifted uncomfortably, suddenly fascinated by their drinks. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jude blustered, his face reddening. "This is a private social club." "Oh, very private," Cass interrupted, stepping forward, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Perfect for conducting affairs away from prying eyes, isn't that right, darling?" Sarah's glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. "Cass, what are you doing here?" "Supporting a friend," he replied smoothly, a hint of steel beneath his calm demeanor. "Isn't that what you always encouraged, Sarah? Being supportive of our friends?" he then sub-vocalized. "Mac, now." Suddenly, the massive screens around the room flickered to life. Security camera footage began to play, dozens of clips, a horrifying montage of various club members in compromising positions. Sarah and Jude featured prominently, their betrayal documented in agonizing high-definition clarity. "Oh my God," someone whispered, and chaos erupted. People scrambled for the exits, only to find them mysteriously locked. Phones were pulled out, but signals had been jammed. Couples turned on each other, accusations flying like poisoned darts. "You bastard," Jude snarled, starting toward Cass, his eyes blazing. "You have no right to—" Cass's voice cut through the pandemonium like a surgeon's blade. "To expose your lies, your fraud." New images appeared on the screens. Financial documents, bank statements, irrefutable evidence of embezzlement and corruption. "Did you tell my wife about the pension fund you stole from?" Cass continued conversationally, his gaze never leaving Jude. "Or your mistress here about the offshore accounts you've been hiding?" Sarah turned to Jude, her face ashen. "What is he talking about?" "He's lying," Jude snapped, his voice shrill. "This is all fabricated, like the financial reports you showed your investors." Isabel's voice was pure steel, cutting through Jude's frantic denials. "The ones you doctored to hide your theft?" "Mommy?" Lily's small voice, filled with innocent confusion, sliced through the tension. "Why is Daddy yelling?" Jude deflated slightly, finally seeming to register his daughter's presence. "Lily Princess, go wait outside." "She stays," Isabel commanded, her voice firm. She deserves to see who her father really is. More footage played across the screens. Jude with other women, Sarah with other men. Years of infidelity exposed in merciless detail, a tapestry of deceit woven for all to see. "You're ruining everything, Cass," Sarah shrieked, tears streaming down her face. "All of our lives." "No, darling," he corrected her gently, his eyes cold. "You did that yourselves. I'm just making sure you face the consequences." Evelyn tried to slip away unnoticed, but Cass's voice stopped her. "Going somewhere, Evie? Don't you want to stay for the part where we reveal your role in all this?" She froze, then slowly turned back, her face ashen with dread. "The messages you sent arranging their meetings," Cass continued, his voice calm but lethal. "The lies you helped maintain, the money you took for your silence, it's all documented, Evie." Sarah stared at her friend, betrayal warring with confusion in her eyes. "You were paid to help him?" "I needed the money," Evelyn whispered, her voice barely audible. "And you," Cass added, turning back to Sarah, "you never really cared about anyone but yourself." The betrayal in Sarah's eyes was almost comical, considering the circumstances surrounding them. The other club members were beginning to turn on each other, accusations flying, marriages crumbling in real time. The decadent facade of the Serpent's Den collapsed, revealing the rot beneath. "Security breach," Mac's voice warned in Cass's ear. "Sterling's personal guard trying to override the system." "Right on schedule," Cass murmured, then raised his voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid our time here is almost up. But don't worry. Copies of everything you've seen tonight have already been sent to a variety of interested parties. Your spouses, your boards of directors, the SEC. I believe tomorrow's papers will be quite interesting." "I'll destroy you," Jude threatened, desperation making him reckless. I have connections." "Had," Cass corrected, his voice sharp. "Past tense. Check your phone." Jude pulled out his phone, then staggered as if struck. His accounts were empty, his assets frozen. Years of careful corruption undone in moments. "You can't do this," he breathed. "I already have." Cass turned to Isabel. "Ready?" She nodded, taking Lily's hand. "More than ready." "This isn't over," Sarah called after them as they headed for the exit. Cass paused, looking back at his wife with cold eyes. "No, it's not. This is just the beginning." As they left the Serpent's Den, the sound of arguing and breaking glass followed them. Cass had lit the fuse. Now he would watch it burn. In the car, Lily fell asleep quickly, exhausted by the evening's drama. Isabel stroked her daughter's hair, tears falling silently. "Are you all right?" Cass asked quietly. "Yes," she wiped her eyes. "It needed to be done. She needed to see, even if it hurt." "The truth often does," he agreed. "But lies hurt more in the end." His phone buzzed, Mac confirming that all the evidence had been distributed as planned. By morning, the scandal would break. Lives would be destroyed, reputations shattered. Cass felt no remorse. They had chosen their path. Now they would walk it to its bitter end. The morning headlines screamed across every major newspaper and news site. Venture capitalist Jude Sterling accused of massive fraud. Elite social club exposed as haven for adulterers. Sterling investments under federal investigation. Cassie sipped his coffee, watching the chaos unfold on multiple screens in Mac's office. Stock prices plummeted, phone lines jammed with panicked investors, social media exploded with scandal. "They're trying to control the damage," Mac reported, monitoring various channels. "Sterling's PR team is in overdrive, but the evidence is too solid. They can't spin this." "What about Sarah?" Mac pulled up another screen. "Hiding out at the Four Seasons. Her credit cards were declined this morning. Seems someone flagged them for suspicious activity." "How unfortunate," Cass murmured. "And her social circle?" "Scattering like rats from a sinking ship." Mac gestured to another security footage display. It showed Sarah attempting to enter her favorite private club, only to be politely but firmly turned away. Her face crumpled as the doors closed in her face. She's been blacklisted from most of the elite venues, Mac confirmed. Anonymous tips about her activities have made her rather unwelcome. Good. Cass set down his cup. Sterling's board of directors called an emergency meeting. They're voting to remove him within the hour. The SEC is already going through his records with a fine-toothed comb. The door burst open as Evelyn Hayes stormed in, makeup streaked with tears. "You have to help me." Cass raised an eyebrow. "I don't have to do anything, Evie. In fact, I specifically remember warning you about choosing sides carefully." "They're all turning against me," she sobbed. "My friends, my clients, everyone knows I help them. I'll be ruined." "Actions have consequences," he replied coldly. "You chose to facilitate their betrayal. Did you think there wouldn't be a price?" "I'll tell you everything," she offered desperately. "Things you don't know about Sarah, about Jude." "There's nothing you can tell me that I don't already know," Cass cut her off. "But since you're so eager to talk—" He nodded to Mac, who pressed a button on his computer. A recording of Evelyn's voice filled the room. "Of course I helped them hide it. Sarah's my best friend, and Jude pays very well for discretion." "Recorded last week at the Serpent's Den," Mac explained cheerfully, along with several other interesting conversations about your role in their affairs. Evelyn sank into a chair, face ashen. "You were recording everything?" "For months," Cass confirmed. "Every meeting you arranged, every lie you helped maintain, every bribe you took." "What do you want from me?" "Nothing." His smile was cruel. "That's the beauty of it, Evie. You're no longer useful to anyone. No one trusts a known traitor." Her phone buzzed. Another social media notification, another friend publicly denouncing her, another client cutting ties. "Please," she whispered. "I'll do anything." "You already did," Cass replied. "You helped destroy my marriage. Now you get to watch your own life crumble. Seems fair, doesn't it?" Mac's computer chimed with new alerts. "Sterling's out," he reported. "Board voted unanimously to remove him. His assets are frozen pending investigation." "How's Isabel handling it?" "Like a queen." Mac pulled up footage from a press conference. Isabel stood at a podium, elegant and composed. "I am deeply shocked by these revelations about my husband's financial misconduct. My primary concern now is protecting our employees' pensions and ensuring justice is served. As of this morning, I have filed for divorce and am cooperating fully with investigators." "Perfect," Cass murmured. Strong, sympathetic, completely blindsided by her husband's crimes. The media will love her. "Already do," Mac confirmed. "She's getting interview requests from all the major networks. People love a wronged woman who fights back." Evelyn stood on shaky legs. "I should go." "Yes, you should." Cass didn't bother looking at her. "Oh, and Evie, don't bother trying to sell your story to the tabloids. We've already provided them with quite a detailed account of your role in all this." She fled, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Mac whistled lowly. "Brutal, man." "They wanted to play games," Cass shrugged. "I'm just better at them." His phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. "We need to talk." "No," he typed back, "we really don't." Another message. "Please, I can explain everything." He blocked her number without responding. "She's getting desperate," Mac noted. "Running out of friends, money, options." "Good." Cass stood, straightening his jacket. "That's exactly where I want her. Keep monitoring everything. I want to know the moment either of them tries to retaliate." "You think they will?" "Of course. People like that, they never accept defeat gracefully. They'll try something stupid soon. And when they do—" Cass's smile was predatory. "Then we destroy whatever's left of them." He headed for the door, pausing briefly. "How's Lily doing?" "Isabel says she's okay. Confused, but okay. They're staying at the safe house we arranged." "Good. Double the security there. Sterling's getting desperate. I don't trust him not to try something rash." As if on cue, Mac's computer chimed with a new alert. Speaking of rash, Sterling just tried to access his emergency accounts in the Caymans, the ones we already emptied. Yep, man's not taking it well. Security camera shows him having a complete meltdown at the bank. Send the footage to the media, Cass instructed. Let them see exactly what kind of man he is when he's not in control. He left Mac's office and headed for his car, ignoring the journalists camped outside. Let them speculate, let them dig. Everything they found would only confirm what he'd revealed. Each new discovery would drive another nail into Sterling and Sarah's coffins. The dominoes were falling exactly as planned, and he was just getting started. The law office of Sterling's latest attorney radiated old money and desperation. Cass sat calmly across from Jude and his lawyer, watching them squirm. "These accusations are baseless," the attorney declared, his voice strained. "Your client is finished," Cass interrupted smoothly. "The SEC has his records. The board has voted him out. His assets are frozen. Would you like me to continue?" "You orchestrated this," Jude snarled, his eyes wild. "You planted evidence." "Did I force you to embezzle from your company's pension fund?" Cass's voice was razor sharp. "Did I make you doctor financial reports, create fake accounts? No, that was all you, Jude. We'll sue you for defamation." "With what money?" Cass smiled coldly. "Your accounts are empty, your assets frozen. Even this overpriced attorney won't stick around once he realizes you can't pay him." The lawyer shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Face it, Sterling, you're done. The only question is how much deeper you want to dig your grave." "I have friends in high places." "Had," Cass corrected. "Past tense. Check your phone. See how many of them are still taking your calls." Jude grabbed his phone, fingers trembling as he scrolled through contacts. Number after number went straight to voicemail. "What do you want?" he finally asked, defeated. "Nothing. That's what makes this perfect. You can't buy me off, can't threaten me, can't stop me." Cass stood, buttoning his jacket. "I'm going to watch you lose everything, piece by piece, and there's nothing you can do about it." He left them there, the lawyer already reaching for his briefcase, preparing to abandon another sinking ship. In the lobby, his phone buzzed with a message from Mac. "Sarah's making moves. Called in some favors, hired a PI to dig into you." Cass smiled. "Right on schedule." The private investigator wasn't hard to find. Mac had identified him within hours of his hiring. A quick meeting, a larger check than Sarah could offer, and the man was suddenly very cooperative. "She wants dirt on you," he reported, accepting Cass's payment. "Something she can use to fight back." "And what will you tell her?" "Nothing useful. Dead ends and wild geese, just like we agreed." "Good man." But Sarah wasn't done. When bribery failed, she tried blackmail. When that failed, she turned to threats. The messages piled up on his block numbers. "I'll tell everyone about your family's past. Your clients won't work with you when they know the truth. You think you're so perfect? I know your secrets." Each threat only amused Cass more. He had prepared for this, documented and countered each possible attack vector before she'd even thought of them. Mac forwarded another alert. "Sterling's trying something new. He's approaching your clients, spreading rumors." Cass checked the details on his tablet. Sterling had indeed been busy, contacting major developers and investors, trying to poison them against Cass's firm. "Mr. Thorne," his assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Mr. Chun from Azure Development is here. He seems concerned." "Send him in." James Chun strode in, tablet in hand. "Cass, we need to talk. I've been hearing some disturbing things from Jude Sterling." Cass interrupted smoothly. "Let me guess. He told you I'm unstable, untrustworthy, that my firm is on shaky ground." Chun blinked. "How did you?" "Because he's desperate." Cass pulled up a file on his computer, turning the screen toward Chun. "These are Sterling's recent financial records. The real ones, not the fake reports he's been feeding his investors. Notice anything interesting?" Chun leaned forward, eyes widening as he scanned the numbers. "This can't be right. These transactions are illegal." "Yes, that's why the SEC is investigating him." That's why his assets are frozen. That's why he's trying to discredit anyone he thinks might threaten what's left of his reputation. But our project is proceeding exactly as planned, on schedule, under budget. Unlike Sterling, I believe in honest business practices. Chun relaxed slightly. I appreciate your candor. When Sterling approached me, you did exactly the right thing coming to me directly. Cass stood, extending his hand. Transparency is everything in our business, Mr. Chun. I trust this puts your concerns to rest? After Chun left, reassured and apologetic, Mac called. That's the third client Sterling's tried to poach this week, and the third one who's chosen to stick with us. How's he taking the rejection? Cass noted. Not well. Security cameras at his club showed him trashing the place after Chun called to cut all ties, send the footage to his board, let them see how their former CEO handles stress. A new alert popped up on his screen. Isabel's security team reporting movement near the safe house. Mac, what's happening at Isabel's? Sterling tried to get past the security gate. Guards turned him away, but he was ranting about seeing his daughter. Increase security. I want eyes on him at all times. Already done. Izzy's fine. Says Lily didn't even know he was there. Cass's phone buzzed with a text from Isabel. Thank you for the extra security. Jude's getting erratic. Stay safe, he replied. Don't hesitate to call if you need anything. The next attack came from an unexpected direction. Evelyn Hayes, desperate to salvage something from the wreckage of her social life, went to the media with a story about Cass being the real villain. It lasted exactly 6 hours before Mac released evidence of her involvement in Sterling's schemes. Her tearful interview was quickly overshadowed by revelations about her own corruption. They're running out of options, Mac observed during their evening strategy session. Sterling's burned through 3 law firms. Sarah's credit cards are maxed out. Evie's been blacklisted from society. Good. Cass reviewed the latest surveillance reports. Have you traced the source of those rumors about my family? Sarah hired some hack journalist to dig into your parents' immigration story. Don't worry, I've handled it. How? Let's just say the journalist found some much more interesting stories about Sarah's own past. The article he's writing now isn't quite what she paid for. Cass smiled grimly. Perfect. A notification pinged. Another security alert from the safe house. This time, Sterling had sent lawyers demanding access to Lily. He's getting desperate, Mac warned. Desperate people do stupid things. Let him. Cass's voice was cold. The more he lashes out, the more evidence we gather. Each failed attack just proves why he's unfit to be near Lily. His phone buzzed, Sarah again, this time from a new number. You can't ignore me forever. We need to talk about this like adults. Cass finally replied, There's nothing to talk about. You made your choices, now live with them. I'll tell everyone about us, she threatened desperately. About our marriage, our private life. Go ahead, he smiled, showing teeth. Unlike you, I have nothing to hide. He blocked the new number and turned back to his work. Let them plot and scheme. Let them try to fight back. Each attempt would only hasten their fall. By the time he left the office that night, 3 more of Sterling's business associates had cut ties with him. 2 more social clubs had revoked Sarah's membership. Another journalist had declined to run Evelyn's version of events. The noose was tightening. Soon they would have nowhere left to turn. His phone chimed one last time, a message from Isabel. Lily asked about you today. Says she misses her Uncle Cass. For the first time that day, his smile held genuine warmth. Tell her I miss her too. Stay safe, both of you. Tomorrow would bring new attacks, new desperate attempts to regain control. Sterling and Sarah would try again, refusing to accept their fate. But Cass was ready. Let them come. Each move they made only brought them closer to their ultimate destruction. The game was nearly over, and Cass held all the winning cards. Cass watched the security feed as Jude Sterling paced his penthouse office, phone pressed to his ear. The once powerful venture capitalist had grown gaunt, his designer suit hanging loose on his frame. You don't understand, Sterling pleaded into the phone. "I can explain everything about my father's dealings." The call ended abruptly. Another investor cutting ties. Mac's voice came through Cass's earpiece. "That's the third rejection today. He's running out of lifelines." Good. Cass turned to his laptop, reviewing the latest intelligence. "What about the offshore accounts?" "Found them all. His father was sloppy, left paper trails a mile wide. Want me to release the documents?" "Not yet. Let's see how he handles this first." On screen, Sterling hurled his phone against the wall, then slumped into his chair, head in his hands. The mighty brought low. Cass's own phone buzzed, a message from Isabel. "Jude's lawyers are pushing for unsupervised visits with Lily." "They won't get them," he replied. "The evidence we have ensures that." Another screen showed Sarah attempting to enter her favorite spa, only to be turned away. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her desperation as she argued with the staff. "Sir," his assistant's voice interrupted, "Mrs. Thorne is here. She's insisting." Cass smiled coldly. "Send her in." Sarah swept into his office, a shadow of her former glamorous self. Her designer clothes were last season's, her jewelry noticeably absent, likely sold to maintain appearances. "You've made your point," she declared, trying to sound commanding. "This has gone far enough." "Has it?" Cass didn't look up from his work. "I don't think it's gone nearly far enough. Our friends, our reputation—" "Your friends," he corrected. "Your reputation. I'm doing quite well." "You're destroying everything." Now he did look up, fixing her with an icy stare. "No, Sarah. You destroyed everything when you chose to betray our marriage. I'm simply ensuring you face the consequences." "It was a mistake," she pleaded, changing tactics. "I was confused, unhappy." "Save the performance." His voice cut like a blade. "You weren't confused. You weren't unhappy. You were greedy, selfish. You wanted more attention, more excitement. Now you have neither." "I'll tell everyone about your family," she threatened desperately. "About your father's struggles when you first came here." "Go ahead," he smiled, showing teeth. "Unlike you, I'm not ashamed of my family's history. We worked hard, stayed honest, built something real." What have you built, Sarah, besides a web of lies?" She recoiled as if struck. "You're cruel." "No, I'm just no longer blind to what you are." He pressed a button on his desk. "Security will escort you out. Don't come back." As she was led away, Mac's voice returned. "Sterling's on the move, heading to Isabel's charity event. Right on schedule. Alert her security team." The charity gala was in full swing when Sterling arrived, trying to project his old confidence. He made it 3 steps before security intercepted him. "Sir, you're not on the list." "Don't be ridiculous," Sterling blustered. "My wife is chairing this event." "Ex-wife?" Isabel's voice cut in. She approached, elegant, and a shiver of fury ran through the air as her voice, sharp and cutting, pierced the hushed tension. "Explain? Explain what, Jude? How you pilfered our employees' pensions? How you wove a web of lies around everyone? How you shattered our family?" His protests were a flimsy shield against her righteous wrath. "You don't understand," he pleaded, but she cut him off with a chilling certainty. "Oh, I understand perfectly." A cold flick of her wrist signaled security. "Remove him," she commanded, "and ensure the press captures every angle." As Sterling was dragged away, a maelstrom of flashing lights and eager photographers engulfed him. From the shadows, Cass watched, a silent architect of ruin, another piece meticulously placed. Back in his inner sanctum, the day's grim harvest was reviewed with Mac. "Sterling's father's records are primed for exposure," Mac reported, a grim satisfaction in his tone. "Once these hit the media, their entire lineage will be utterly disgraced." "Unleash it," Cass ordered, his voice devoid of hesitation. "And ensure those sordid videos of Sarah find their way to the most voracious gossip columns." "Are you certain?" Mac inquired, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "They're incredibly damaging." "She chose to record them." Cass retorted, his gaze hard as flint. Let the world witness her true self. His phone erupted with a relentless cascade of notifications. Sterling's father's decades of deceit laid bare, Sarah's most intimate moments brutally paraded for public consumption. Their gilded world was collapsing in real time. A message from Evelyn Hayes materialized. Please, I can help you. I know things about both of them. Without a second glance, Cass deleted it. She had long ago cast her lot. Mac, Cass instructed, his voice steely. Ensure Miss Hayes's complicity in this entire charade receives its due attention. She yearned to dance on both sides of the line. Let her face the repercussions. Consider it done, Mac affirmed. Those recordings of her accepting bribes to conceal their transgressions have already flooded social media. Cass leaned back, a dark satisfaction blooming within him. They had all reveled in their games, convinced of their own untouchable cunning. Now they would taste the bitter essence of consequence. Sterling's desperate pleas echoed into the void, unanswered. Sarah's social invitations vanished like smoke. Evelyn's frantic attempts at damage control spectacularly backfired. And Cass? He was merely orchestrating the overture. The true symphony of destruction was yet to unfold. Sir? His assistant's voice cut through the quiet. Mr. Chen has finalized the Azure development contract, ready for your signature, and Mrs. Sterling asked me to give you this. It was a simple note, Isabel's elegant script gracing the page. Lily asked if you are coming to her recital next week. She's saving you a seat. For the first time that day, a genuine warmth softened Cass's smile. Let Sterling and Sarah weave their desperate feudal schemes. Let them claw at the tattered remnants of their ruined lives. He had already claimed victory, and their agony was merely a prelude. The stage was set within the opulent confines of the Grand Plaza Hotel's main ballroom. News cameras, like predatory eyes, were strategically positioned. Reporters, eager as vultures, stood primed for the feast. A meticulously curated guest list of society's elite buzzed with anticipation, thirsting for the next act in this unfolding drama. Cass, adjusting his tie, reviewed the final meticulous preparations with Mac. All the evidence is loaded? He inquired, his voice a low hum of anticipation. Ready to strike? Sterling and Sarah won't comprehend what hit them, Mac confirmed, and they'll both be present. Sterling believes it's a lucrative business opportunity, his last gasp to salvage his crumbling empire. Sarah is convinced it's a society fundraiser, a chance to resurrect her tarnished reputation. Cass nodded, a predator's perfect calculation. The ballroom rapidly swelled, a throng of the city's wealthy and powerful drawn by the tantalizing whispers of impending scandal. Cass noted familiar faces, board members, social luminaries, former confidants of the disgraced couple. Sterling arrived first, a haunted specter attempting to network, only to find backs turned, conversations abruptly ceasing. Years of meticulously cultivated goodwill had been incinerated by his exposed corruption. Sarah swept in later, her head held defiantly high despite her diminished circumstances. Her gown was borrowed, her jewelry ersatz, yet she still strained to project her former imperious confidence. Neither noticed the cameras relentlessly tracking their movements, the microphones capturing their increasingly desperate, pathetic attempts to reclaim their lost standing. Precisely at 9 o'clock, Cass ascended the stage. A sudden, expectant hush fell over the room. Good evening, he began, his voice a smooth, unsettling balm. Thank you all for coming. Some of you may be wondering why you're here. Sterling froze mid-conversation, his champagne glass trembling, a tiny tremor echoing the tremor in his carefully constructed world. Recently, our community was rocked by scandal, Cass continued, his voice resonating with controlled power. Revelations about infidelity, fraud, corruption, but you haven't heard the whole story. Tonight that changes. The colossal screens behind him flickered to life. Security footage from the Serpent's Den played, but these were not the previously leaked clips. These were far, far worse. Sterling, his face contorted with malice, threatening employees into silence about his heinous schemes. Sarah, preening with self-satisfaction, boasting of her manipulation of Cass while systematically bleeding his accounts dry, both of them mocking their spouses, their friends, everyone they claimed to hold dear. "Stop this," Sterling roared, lunging forward, only to be effortlessly intercepted by security. "Oh, we're just getting started," Cass smiled, a glacial, terrifying smile. "Let's discuss your father's empire, Jude, the one built on fraud and extortion, the one you so proudly perpetuated." More evidence cascaded across the screens, meticulously detailed bank records, damning witness statements, years of criminal behavior laid bare in merciless, undeniable detail. "You can't prove any of this," Sterling blustered, but his face had drained to an ashen white. "I already have," Cass stated, his voice a pronouncement of doom. "The SEC possesses all of this and more. They are announcing formal charges tomorrow morning, but I desired your esteemed friends to bear witness first." Sarah made a desperate attempt to slip away, but Cass's voice, a silken cord, ensnared her. "Leaving so soon, darling? But we haven't even arrived at your part yet." The screens transformed again, revealing text messages, photos, videos she believed were private. "You didn't," she whispered, a fragile plea. "You forget who installed our home security system," he countered, his voice devoid of warmth. "Who handled all our technology? Did you truly imagine those recordings you made were solely for Sterling's eyes?" A collective gasp rippled through the audience as Sarah's true, venomous nature was meticulously unveiled. Her callous manipulation of friends, her ruthless exploitation of Cass's wealth, her countless heinous betrayals. "These are lies," she protested weakly, her voice barely a whisper. "No, Sarah. For once in your life you are confronting the truth, your truth." Security had to restrain Sterling as the mounting evidence crushed him. His father's historical crimes, his own rampant embezzlement, the countless lives he had utterly ruined through his insatiable greed and arrogant self-importance. "I'll destroy you," he threatened Cass, his voice a choked snarl. "With what?" Cass's voice was ice. "Your money? Gone. Your connections? Abandoned you. Your reputation?" He gestured at the screens, now a tableau of their downfall. "Destroyed by your own abominable actions." The final blow came from an utterly unexpected direction. Isabel entered holding Lily's small hand. "Daddy?" Lily's innocent voice, a pure bell in the stunned silence, resonated through the room. "Why are you hurting people?" Sterling crumpled, all his defenses, all his bluster, utterly shattered by his daughter's simple, heartbreaking question. "I am releasing all of this to the media tonight," Cass announced to the stunned room, his voice ringing with authority, "along with irrefutable evidence of everyone who helped cover up their crimes. You all might want to check your phones. Those who aided them, well, I believe the phrase is guilty by association." Phones buzzed throughout the ballroom, a symphony of collapsing reputations. "You can't do this," Sarah pleaded, her voice cracking. "I already have." He turned back to the audience, his gaze sweeping over the horrified faces. "Ladies and gentlemen, you have spent years celebrating these individuals, admiring them, following their lead. Now you know who they truly are. Choose your next moves carefully." The exodus began immediately, a panicked scramble. Former friends couldn't distance themselves quickly enough. Phones rang incessantly as frantic damage control commenced. Sterling had to be escorted out, ranting about lawsuits and vengeance. Sarah remained frozen, a statue of despair, watching her social world disintegrate into dust. "Why?" she whispered as Cass's security approached to remove her. "Why like this?" "Because you chose to play games," he replied simply, his voice chillingly calm. "I'm just better at them than you." After the chaos subsided, Mac joined him at the podium. "That was brutal," he observed, a hint of awe in his tone. "It was necessary." Cass straightened his tie. "Have the media releases gone out, all channels? By morning, they'll be ruined beyond recovery." Good. He watched Isabel comfort Lily across the room. Ensure the security footage reaches Sterling's custody hearing. Already done. Mac hesitated. You know they'll try to fight back. Let them try. Cass's smile was predatory. Each futile attempt will only destroy them further. The fallout was immediate, devastating. By midnight, Sterling's remaining business partners had severed all ties. Sarah's social circle evaporated completely. Their world burned to ash. And Cass? He returned home to review the architectural plans for his latest project, a center for victims of financial fraud and domestic betrayal. Sometimes from the ashes of destruction, creation could rise. And he was only just beginning. The morning headlines screamed the final definitive chapter of Sterling and Sarah's downfall. Sterling arrested on federal fraud charges. Society couple's empire collapses. Serpent's Den scandal claims final victims. Cass reviewed them over breakfast, a profound satisfaction coursing through him. Mac's morning report confirmed total victory. Sterling, facing multiple federal indictments, had attempted to flee the country, only to be apprehended at the airport. His father's entire financial empire was now under investigation, decades of fraud meticulously exposed. Sarah, penniless and utterly abandoned, had retreated to a small, obscure apartment in the suburbs, her social media accounts purged, her former friends now pretending they'd never known her. Evelyn Hayes had vanished from the city entirely, her own reputation irrevocably shattered by her willing participation in their wicked schemes. But Cass wasn't finished. The foundation paperwork is ready, his lawyer confirmed. The Center for Recovery and Renewal, focusing on helping victims of financial fraud and domestic betrayal rebuild their lives. Perfect. Cass signed the documents with a flourish. Ensure Sterling's seized assets go directly to the pension fund he stole from. His victims deserve restitution. A soft knock interrupted them. Isabel entered, elegant as always, but now radiating an inner strength that had hardened her inherent grace. The first support group meeting is tonight, she announced, her voice firm. We already have 20 participants. Good. Cass gestured for her to sit. How's Lily? Better, Isabel replied, a gentle smile gracing her lips. The therapist says she's processing everything well. She asks about you. Tell her Uncle Cass will be at her next recital. They reviewed the foundation plans together, comprehensive programs for financial literacy, essential counseling services, vital legal aid for those fighting back against the pervasive forces of fraud and betrayal. You've transmuted revenge into something profoundly positive, Isabel observed, a hint of admiration in her voice. Justice, he corrected, his gaze unwavering. Revenge is personal. This is about ensuring others never suffer the same agonizing fate. His phone buzzed, another desperate pleading message from Sarah. He deleted it without a second glance. Still no forgiveness? Isabel asked softly, her gaze searching his. Some actions cannot be forgiven, he replied, his voice a low, steady rumble. Some betrayals carve scars that never truly heal. The best we can do is ensure they never happen again. The foundation blossomed rapidly, a beacon of hope. Success stories mounted, lives painstakingly rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. Cass watched it all with a deep, quiet satisfaction, knowing that his agonizing pain had birthed something meaningful, something lasting. Sterling's trial dominated headlines for weeks. His father's empire crumbled completely, generations of corruption exposed and punished. Sarah's desperate attempts to resurrect her social standing repeatedly failed. Her beauty, once her greatest asset, proved utterly powerless against the harsh light of her exposed true nature. But Cass had moved beyond them. Their destruction was complete. His focus now was on creation, on building something new. The center became his enduring legacy, a sanctuary where victims found strength, where betrayal was transmuted into unwavering resolve. And through it all, he remained what the crucible of experience had forged him into, a man who understood both the profound depths of darkness and the transcendent promise of light, ruthless in his pursuit of justice, yet gentle with those who deserved protection. Lily's piano recital marked a poignant final chapter. She played beautifully, her innocence untouched by her father's sins. Afterward, she hugged Cass tightly. "Thank you for making Mommy happy again," she whispered, her voice a soft murmur against his chest. He held her close, remembering why the destruction had been necessary. Some things he knew were worth burning the world to protect. Later in his office, he reviewed the plans for the center's expansion. More locations, more programs, more lives to rebuild. A message from Mac appeared. Sterling's appeal denied. He's facing 20 years minimum. Cass smiled. Justice had been served. The sun set on his empire of vengeance, but rose on something far greater, a legacy built not just on destruction, but on profound renewal. He was no longer merely the man who had discovered that damning phone in his wife's drawer. He was someone stronger, someone who understood that true power lay not just in the ability to destroy, but in the profound choice of what to build from the ashes. The serpent had been crushed, but from its remains something far more powerful had risen. 5 years later, the Center for Recovery and Renewal stood as a towering testament to transformation. What had begun as one man's relentless instrument of vengeance had evolved into an international network of support and rehabilitation, helping thousands rebuild their shattered lives after betrayal and fraud. Caspian Thorne surveyed the newest addition to the sprawling complex from his office, the Lily Sterling Wing, dedicated to providing solace and healing to children affected by familial trauma, set to open next month. The profound irony of naming it after the child whose innocence had helped expose the serpent's den was not lost on him. "The final inspection report, sir," his assistant announced, placing a folder on his desk. "And Mr. Stone is here for your meeting." Mac entered, looking even more polished than in his tech entrepreneur days, yet still retaining that keen edge of cynical awareness that had made him such an invaluable ally. "The annual numbers are in," Mac announced, settling into a chair. "You're not going to believe the impact statistics." Cass reviewed the data. Over 5,000 people helped in the past year alone, millions in fraudulent assets meticulously recovered, hundreds of lives painstakingly rebuilt. "How's our special guest doing?" Cass asked, a subtle arch in his brow. Mac grinned. "Still rotting in federal prison. Sterling's latest appeal was denied last week. The evidence was too solid. And his father died 6 months ago, alone, in minimum security. The empire they spent generations building." Mac snapped his fingers. "Gone in an instant." Cass nodded, a deep satisfaction warming him. Justice had been thorough. "What about Sarah?" he inquired, though he already knew. He kept tabs on all of them, ensuring they never recovered enough to pose a threat to anyone else again. "Still living in that small apartment in New Jersey," Mac reported. "Works as a sales clerk at a department store. Tries to date occasionally, but—" Mac shrugged. "Your expose was pretty comprehensive. Anyone who Googles her finds out exactly who she is." "And Evelyn. Last I heard, she was in Arizona, changed her name, trying to start over, not having much luck. Turns out being a known betrayer makes it rather difficult to forge new relationships." Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle knock. Isabel entered, elegant as ever, but now carrying herself with the quiet, unwavering confidence of a woman who knew her own worth. "The board meeting's in 10 minutes, she reminded them. As the center's director of outreach, she had found her true calling, helping others escape the very trap she'd once faced. "How's Lily?" Cass asked. Isabel beamed. "Top of her class. Just got accepted to Stanford's pre-law program. She wants to help people like we do, but through the legal system." "Following in her mother's footsteps, not her father's," Mac observed. "Speaking of which, has he tried to contact her again?" Isabel's expression hardened slightly. "He sends birthday cards from prison. She returns them unopened. She hasn't forgotten what he did to our family." The years had been kind to Isabel. After the very public implosion of her marriage, she had thrown herself into rebuilding not just her own life, but countless others. The society pages that had once fawned over Sarah now lauded Isabel's humanitarian work. The new wing's dedication ceremony is next month, she continued. The governor confirmed he'll attend. We're getting coverage from all major networks. Perfect timing, Mac noted. It's almost the anniversary of the Serpent's Den expose. 5 years, Cass mused. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. His phone buzzed. Another blocked message from Sarah. She still tried to reach him occasionally, though less frequently now. The messages varied from pleading to threatening to desperate attempts at manipulation. He deleted them all, unread. The support group is waiting, Isabel reminded him. You promised to speak to them today. Cass stood, straightening his tie. These sessions were vital, showing others that survival was possible, that betrayal didn't have to define them. The support group met in a comfortable room designed to feel safe and welcoming. 20 people looked up as Cass entered, new faces intermingling with familiar ones, all sharing the same wounded but determined look he'd once seen in his own reflection. My name is Caspian Thorne, he began, his voice calm and steady. And like you, I was betrayed by someone I trusted completely. He told his story, not the sanitized version from the press, but the raw truth, the agonizing discovery, the searing pain, the cold rage that had fueled his response. But revenge alone is hollow, he continued, his gaze sweeping over the faces before him. True victory comes from transforming pain into purpose. That's why we're here. Not just to survive betrayal, but to emerge stronger. After the session, he found Mac waiting in his office. Got something you should see, Mac said, pulling up data on his tablet. Remember that offshore account we could never trace? Finally cracked it. Cass reviewed the information. The account led to more of Sterling's hidden assets, money they could recover for his victims. Send it to the prosecutors, he instructed. Make sure the pension fund gets first claim. Already done, Mac confirmed. But that's not the interesting part. Mac scrolled to another document. Look who else was involved. Cass studied the names. More conspirators, more individuals who had helped cover up Sterling's heinous crimes. They thought they'd escaped notice, Mac said with grim satisfaction. Want me to release this? Not yet. Let's do this properly, build the cases, gather irrefutable evidence, then take them all down at once. Just like old times, Mac grinned. Justice, Cass corrected, his voice firm. Not revenge. There's a difference. But his smile held that same cold, predatory edge that had once terrorized the Serpent's Den. Later that evening, Cass visited the center's childcare facility. Lily was there, volunteering as she often did after school. At 17, she had blossomed into a poised young woman with her mother's grace and a fierce determination to right wrongs. Uncle Cass, she hugged him warmly, did you see my acceptance letter? Stanford's lucky to have you, he replied, his voice softening. Your mother's very proud. I couldn't have done it without you both. She gestured at the children playing nearby. You showed me how to turn bad things into something good. A news alert pinged on his phone, another story about Sterling's denied appeal. Lily noticed but didn't react. She had long ago processed her father's betrayal. He wrote again, she said quietly. Same excuses, same promises, and I burned it. Some things can't be forgiven. Cass squeezed her shoulder, immensely proud of her strength. That night, reviewing the day's reports, Cass reflected on how far they'd come. The center had grown beyond his wildest expectations. Lives were being changed, justice was being served. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number, but not Sarah this time. Remember me? Your little scheme ruined my life. I was just a guest at that club. You had no right. Cass forwarded it to Mac for tracing, then blocked the number. Occasionally, someone from the Serpent's Den tried to retaliate. They never succeeded. The next morning brought news that Evelyn Hayes had tried and failed to launch a lifestyle blog under her new identity. Social media had quickly exposed her past, driving away sponsors. Should we do something? Isabel asked when he showed her. No, he replied, his voice final. She made her choices. Let her live with them. They had far more important work to focus on. The center was expanding again, opening branches in 3 new cities. Each location would help more people escape toxic relationships, recover from devastating fraud, rebuild shattered lives. Mac's team had developed groundbreaking software to detect financial fraud patterns, helping prevent future Sterlings from destroying countless lives. Isabel's outreach programs were being studied as models for trauma recovery, and Cass? He had found his true purpose. The architect now designed futures instead of buildings. The man who'd once been consumed by a burning desire for revenge now helped others channel their pain into positive, transformative change. But he hadn't gone soft. When new cases of betrayal or fraud crossed his desk, that cold ruthlessness resurfaced. He still believed some actions were utterly unforgivable. Some people deserved to lose everything. The crucial difference was in how he applied that judgment. Strategic demolition rather than blind, indiscriminate destruction. Calculated justice rather than pure, unadulterated revenge. His empire had evolved, but its foundations remained solid. Betrayal had consequences. Actions had prices. And sometimes the most elegant revenge was simply ensuring that people faced the full, crushing weight of their own choices. A week later, he attended Lily's graduation ceremony, watching her accept her diploma with honors. He remembered that night at the Serpent's Den, a child's innocence cutting through layers of adult corruption. Now she stood tall, unshadowed by her father's crimes. She had learned from others' mistakes instead of repeating them. In that way, perhaps some good had truly come from all the pain. After the ceremony, Isabel hugged her daughter, tears of pride welling in her eyes. "Your father tried to send a gift," she mentioned quietly. "Return it," Lily said firmly. "I have all the family I need right here." Later, reviewing applications for the center's scholarship program, Cass found himself pondering cycles, how betrayal could lead to destruction or to profound growth, how revenge could consume or utterly transform. His phone buzzed. Mac sending an update on their latest case. Another financial predator thinking himself untouchable. Another intricate web of lies waiting to be exposed. Cass smiled. Some habits died hard, but now he had built something lasting, something that would continue helping others long after Sterling and Sarah were forgotten. Their betrayal had forged him into something stronger, more purposeful. The Serpent's legacy wasn't destruction after all. It was transformation. And in the end, that was the sweetest revenge of all. Ladies and gentlemen, since you've listened to the end of this story, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which state you're watching from. Let's see what percentage of elite viewers make it to the end. And please, kindly turn your attention to the screen after this message. There you'll find a full playlist of thrilling stories, a subscribe button for the channel, and our most captivating story. Click, enjoy, and thank you.